Hello, everyone. Welcome to Christian Weather Broadcasting. Repent and put your faith in Jesus because only He can save you from hell. If you want to know more, take a look at that gospel message in the description. Right now, you're looking at Tropical Storm Idalia, which is forecast to become a hurricane. You can see right there that it has a center of circulation, and just outside of that circulation, you can see an area that looks like that it's bubbling up right around there, just outside of that center of circulation. If I bring you to the long wave IR, you can see that area bubbling up with some cold cloud tops in that area. Idalia has strengthened from what it was. It was tropical depression. Now it is a tropical storm. Winds of 40 miles per hour. Minimum central pressure of 996. It dropped from 1,005 to 996 millibars, and it's moving east at 2 miles per hour. Now, let's go through our key messages. So, Idalia is forecast to become a hurricane over the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and there's an increasing risk of life threatening storm surge, flooding from heavy rainfall, and hurricane force winds along portions of the west coast of Florida and the Florida Panhandle beginning as early as Tuesday. Although it is too soon to specify the exact location and magnitude of these impacts, residents in these areas should monitor updates in the forecast, have their hurricane plan in place, and follow any advice given from local officials. Storm surge and hurricane watches may be required for portions of the Gulf Coast of Florida later today. Heavy rainfall is expected across the eastern Yucatan Peninsula and western Cuba and may produce areas of flash and urban flooding and landslides across western Cuba. Idalia is forecast to become a tropical storm later today. That's obviously old. And tropical storm conditions are expected over portions of Yucatan Peninsula and extreme western Cuba, with tropical storm conditions possible on the Isle of Youth. Scattered flooding from heavy rainfall is likely in over portions of the southeast U.S. by mid to late week. Looks like a little um, error there. Anyway, not an error, but by mid to late week, I think is a little typo. Anyway, let's move on to our cone of uncertainty here. It is forecast to become a hurricane making landfall in Florida, moving all the way through South Carolina and back out into the ocean as a tropical storm. But luckily, according to the models, it does not seem that this storm will re-strengthen what once out in the ocean. But what we really need to focus on is this eastward movement of the storm, because the further east it moves, the farther south it's going to go down in Florida. Um, so but if it doesn't move as far east, then it'll go somewhere not as far south. Right now, we're looking at the Big Bend of Florida as an area of landfall, but we shouldn't rule out the east. And if it keeps tracking east, we need to keep an eye on that for southern Florida. Let's take a look at a rainfall potential. Areas near Tallahassee pulling up to 6 to 10 inches of rain. In Jacksonville, around 2 to 4 inches of rain, and considerable amount of Florida is getting 4 to 6, maybe in some areas where there's less rain, 1 to 2 inches of rain. Flash flooding potential, you can see that there's a slight, at least 15% for a nice swath here. I'd expect that flash flooding potential possibly to go up as the storm moves closer to land. Let's take a look at our wind speed probabilities. As you can see, for certain areas of Florida near the coast, 40 to 50 um, percent chance of tropical storm force winds. But again, I expect that to increase as the storm moves closer to land. We have in some parts of Florida now 5 to 10% chance of hurricane force wind speed probability, but that will again go up as the storm approaches. Tuesday 8 p.m. is around the arrival time um, for the middle of Florida to North Florida for those tropical storm force winds. By Wednesday 8 a.m., those winds are moving on into the border of Georgia and South Carolina, and by Wednesday 8 p.m., moving to the looks like Outer Banks of North Carolina. Here are the spaghetti models for the storm, with the large consensus bringing this through Jacksonville, and our intensity guidance one model bringing it to a category 2, though some of the other models are bringing it to a more intense storm. Let's go to the GFS quickly. On landfall, GFS is predicting 962 millibars. That is a Cat 3.